You all have brought this? Brought it. You have seen the results yesterday. Finally, have you seen the results, prelims? Huh? What is the cutoff? 92, 95. How many questions you are supposed to solve? Not less than 50? Not less than 50. Very easy. No? Very easy. Solving 50 questions is very easy. And what about CSAT? Large number of students have failed in that. Must have noticed it. They scored around 55 to 60 or 62. Good students. CSAT is becoming a hurdle. Anyway, before I start for paper 2 or 3, 1 and 2, I would just point out one thing. The syllabus which we have discussed slightly yesterday, and the arrangement of the exam, you must have read, must have heard what is the allocation of marks or what is the paper concerned. But why I am pointing out here right now is to tell you that out of, suppose say 250, what should be the score to get through? Out of 250, suppose you have history, geography and society in paper 1, or in prelims GS 200 marks altogether, in which you have 5, 6, 7 topics. So which should be focused and how to get through that? For that purpose, it is essential to have a look, just have a look, not in details, just have a look. And then I'll show you one more thing. Yesterday I was telling one specific thing, if you remember, that this exam needs professional approach, absolute professionalism, no casualty and no casual approach. It is very methodical, very professional from their side. Unfortunately, we don't become professional. We become very casual, and we focus on studies mainly. They focus on your personality. That is again mismatch. Yesterday also I was telling some mismatches. So you focus on your studies and they focus on your personality. So that mismatch has to be removed, and for that purpose, this booklet, I will just quote an example after I do this. And if you have the booklet, just open page number. Page number is not given. Third page, you just open third page, course outline. Then I will tell you one thing. Yesterday also I was telling one thing, that civil services exam requires your understanding of civil services. And civil service is nothing but to deliver the services down to the people, to every person. And 3 things have been picked up in there. Most uncertain. Main exam is of this, we call in coaching language, we call it interview. There is not an interview. There is a personality test. There is a bit difference between interview and personality. Interview is to know something from you. I will ask 10 questions. If you answer, fine. That interview is generally taken in corporate world. If you are going for an interview for a sales executive, they may ask that this is a glass, how will you sell it? But that is not the real test of personality. What UPSC wants through interviews is your personality, actual personality, your traits. So, this is most uncertain, right? You understand this? You agree with me? Like yesterday, I think some figure was given that 11.5 lakh applicants this year. Out of that, I think 13,000 results have been published, right? Out of 11.5 lakhs is 13,000. How many will go to mains? Around 2,500. If suppose it is 700 seats, then it is 3:1 roughly, or maximum 4:1. So it is 2,500 roughly, and out of 2,500, 700. Out of 700, how many IAS? 100, 125, right? So all of us vie for IAS only. Hardly anybody is there who wants the last position. Everybody wants that IAS or IPS or IFS. In worst case, you will console yourself with IRS IT or IRS custom or what. Otherwise, everybody vies for IAS. So out of 11.5 lakh, get 125 fraction, right? And the most uncertain exam is this because of this figure, 11.5 lakh to 30. This gives a very, you can say, damaging statistics for any candidate. It makes him frightened that no, it is not possible, not possible. And even if you are confident, even if you are talented, then you will lose your confidence that no, I am not that in 13,000, right? But the reality is that 9 lakh out of 11.5, they do not have any competition. They have filled the form just for the sake of filling it. So it is a competition, suppose it is in 2.5. Out of 2.5, actual competition in true sense is in 50,000, not more than, not more than that, right? And in that sense, out of 50,000, 13,000 is an easy figure to come in, relatively, provided you are professional and methodical. Why I did this? To tell you that you have to be calculative. Yesterday also I was telling that you have to be calculative. Calculative in the sense that if you have GS and CSAT, you require 50 questions here, and how much marks you require in CSAT? 66, right? 66 marks, and here you require 100 marks roughly. Then you are through. Okay? This 66, out of this 66, at least 40 will depend upon this. Why? Because of your comprehension. If your GS is good, you are through in CSAT, because comprehensions occupy the maximum weightage, right? Basic numeracy everybody does. Logical reasoning everybody does, or most of the people will do that. The edge is given, or advantageous position is when you are confident in comprehension. Okay? And comprehensions are not, passages are not like what we see in CAT exam or any other management exam. They are basically from either political development or economics or society or environment, which you study in GS in one way or the other. So if you are good at GS, you are good at CSAT. So working on CSAT for 66 marks is relatively easier if you work here. Got my point? I was talking to one of my students on phone who failed in CSAT this year, and he told me that I had scored roughly 99. If 99 was the score, then he would have been in the list. But he got 58 or 57, I think, in the CSAT. And he told me the strategy also for next year. Without asking me, he said that I have made a strategy for myself. that I will devote 5 to 6 hours time. Just 1 hour before I was talking to him on phone. Then I told him that, okay, fine, give 6 hour time. How much time to GS? Then he said at least 4 hours. I said, okay, fine, is already 10. 2 hours for newspapers, 12, and 2 to 3 hours for optional. So it is 15 hours a day. Then I asked him that, yes, when is your exam? He said on 28th of May 2020. I said, it is almost a year, roughly a year. Is it possible to sustain 15 hours study? And if yes, then for you, district magistrate is one of the worst positions. You are much ahead. You are as good a scholar as Aristotle or Karl Marx or something like that. Why to become district magistrate then? So most of the people will start working on this. Again, they will neglect this. Now next year, what will happen to them? They will score 100 in CSAT, which is of no use, and they will lose here. Yesterday, I was telling one thing, that you have to strike a balance professionally, where to work, how to work. So CSAT will also depend upon your preparation in GS. That is very, very important. Once you prepare for this, the syllabus of GS is, just have a look. I'll tell you one thing, very simple. Current events of national and international importance, history of India, Indian national movement, Indian and world geography, Indian polity and governance, political system, Panchayati Raj, public policy, rights issues, economic and social development, general issues on environment, ecology, and general science. Is it different from the syllabus of mains? No. This portion is taken out from the main syllabus. This is from paper 3, this is from paper 3, this is from paper 3 in mains, this is from paper 1. Current is always there in every paper. So there is no difference between the syllabus of prelims and mains. The only difference is, yesterday if you remember, I had told that decision making is through 4 alternatives, and in mains your decision making is on your own, on your thinking. That is the only difference. So integrational studies are required, obviously. This is one angle to understand. The second is, when you talk to mains, UPSC says paper 1 essay. Remember that paper 1 is called essay, and paper 2 for UPSC is GS paper 1, right? So if I say here essay separately, yesterday also I talked about essay. What is an essay? Michael Montaigne was the person who coined this term. Michael Montaigne, he coined the term essay. What does this mean? Organized expression of somebody's thoughts. That is the definition given by Montaigne. Organized expression of your thoughts. That's all. On a particular topic. Topic has to be given. So it requires your understanding of the topic. Yesterday also we discussed this. Now when we come to GS, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, 250 marks each. This is also 250 marks. Essay has equal weightage as any of the GS papers. So essay also cannot be neglected. Now why I am discussing this? To give you some idea. 250, 250, 250. How much it becomes? 1000 plus 250, 1250. Right? 500 is your optional. 250 each. And 275 is your interview, right? So 2025 is the total marks. Out of this 2025, maximum weightage is here 1250. No, and optional has the weightage of 500. So maximum weightage is of GS and SA. Now, if you calculate all these four papers of GS and one paper of SA, this is the paper 1, this is the paper 4. This can push you like a spring. It can make you jump. Why? Because both are thought based. Why this is thought based? Because of case study. Expression in case studies will give a boost to raise the or increase the overall percentage of marks. Theoretical aspect of paper 4 or ethics will give average marks. What is emotional intelligence? What is responsibility, accountability? Right? Everybody knows it. Everybody will mug up and write the answer. So you will also get an average marks. But again, the advantage is in case studies, because that is based on your own perception. How do you perceive the story? How do you perceive the situation? And your perception will depend upon your observational capability. That we'll discuss later on. When I'll talk paper 4, I'll tell you how to develop this ability. I will not confine myself to explain the things. I will also elaborate how to develop this ability, how to understand, to analyze something, and if you are unable to analyze, how to develop that analytical ability. I'll tell you that also. Don't worry. Okay. I'll tell you the tricks also, how to solve prelims questions. I'll tell you the entire thing about answer writing also. But let me first complete. That's why it is 3 days, so-called workshop or seminar or whatever. So, essay and paper 4 are two very vital, very vital. Paper 1, 2 and 3 of GS give you not average marking, but if you really put your efforts in a right and professional manner, you will score good percentage of it. Definitely. A guy I met in the morning in my office, Mahendra, faced interview I think in 2018. This year also he cleared prelims, and he scored 769 mains, right? The cutoff in 2018 was 749, and he scored 20 marks more than cutoff. That was a good increase. Cap. Then he scored 110 in interview. It was unfortunate for him that he got 70 marks in paper 4, 125 in paper 2, 135 in paper 3. A very good mark. 101 in paper 1 and 70 in paper 4. I asked him one thing only, that how did you write case study? He said that was the damage. Out of 70, at least 40 he must have got in the traditional portions. But since case studies, if he had handled case studies and if he had scored 30 more, then he would have in the list, he would have been in the list. And since he belongs to ST category, then he would have got good service, obviously, right? So, paper 1 and 4, paper essay and paper 4, we have to focus very methodically. For others, how to become professional, that is also a very important. Now look at this, that's why I asked you to open the page, just to have an idea, not much in detail, just to have an idea. This is a style of writing by a coaching institute, that is fine. But I am not talking like a coaching person, I am trying to highlight how it is professional and what you have to do. Reading this, look at this page. First it is written Indian heritage and culture, total number of lectures 20, right? You getting? Got it? Then after that it is written total duration 60 hours. Then it is written unit 1 16 hours, lecture come discussion seminar. Forget about this, lectures come discussion seminars present. That is another. What you have to do? Why this 20 lectures and 60 hours? Is it possible for any of us to understand heritage and culture in 60 hours? Culture of India, which we have of more than 10,000 years. Is it possible for us, any of us? No, not at all. Even if you read or study 24/7 for 20 days, it is not possible that you will become an expert on heritage and culture. Right? Why this 20 lectures? How it is possible? Means you have to find out what are the things to be excluded, not what are the things. Newspaper also, Hindu-like newspaper publishes 10% things roughly is for our use. Out of 18-20 pages, 10% of the news items, articles are important for us. 90% are useless. Useless for us, not for everybody. It is better to remove 90% than to find 10%. No. It is easier to eliminate 90% than to find which 10%. You remove 10%, left over is 10%. Similarly, most of the things in your culture, history, geography, anything are not important for us. So, why coachings are considered to be guiding source? Because of this professionalism. That I have decided that I will take this class in polity of constitution. Suppose I take constitution. 200 articles, forget about entire constitution. 200 articles and preamble and historical underpinnings of the. Is it possible for me to 30 days? Then I will be either Ambedkar or Grenville Austin or something like that. Even if I teach, suppose, is it possible for you to understand constitution in 40 days? No. We have not been able to understand our constitution in 70 years. That's what the problems are there. We are seeing across the, even our policy makers have not understood the constitution properly. Starts we the people, and we the people do not understand, unfortunately. This is the reality, no? This is the reality. So, I have to identify which are the things in the constitution to be, they are not important. Then I will design a syllabus that this is required, this is not, and with a logic. So, logic if I give you, you can do at home, but no, this is not important for me, despite the fact it might be very, very important for others. One more example I will give you. When we discuss history of Constitution of India, generally we start from 1773 Regulating Act, right? If suppose we start from 1600 with this entry of British, so 173 years we studied, then we came to 1773 Regulating Act. Now before 1773, there were two most important events. 1757, tell me why? Battle of Plassey, and 1764, Battle of Buxar. They are considered to be the two most decisive battles in Indian history. And if Britishers had not won, especially Buxar, then the course of history of India would have been different. All of us agree to this. So these two events are the most important events in history, but they are of least importance so far as constitution is concerned, because when constitutions fail, that lead to war, right? So for us as a student of Constitution, I do not have to read these two battles. But for a student of history, he cannot think of eliminating these. Another example, Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. Very important. Which act it is? Government of India Act 1919. 1919. Now, in history, who was Montagu and who was Chelmsford? That is also important. For a student of law, who makes the law is least important. What are the provisions of law? So, for a student of Constitution, Government of India Act 1919 is more important than the persons behind them. These are the examples which I am quoting to make you understand why these 25 lectures, 20 lectures, 30 lectures, 40 lectures, why this is given and how to make you professional. So, it is my request, go through this booklet at home, try to find out the intricate aspects of that, why it is written. Not simply that it is a booklet by a coaching institute. No. Try to find out why 25, why 20 lectures for heritage and culture and why 25 lectures for modern Indian history. Why not reverse? Are we missing something from culture or are we adding something in history? Why this? You have to be very precise in looking at these. This is one. So, it is there for all subjects. It is there for all subjects. This looks 4-5 pages, but I think this takes few months to design this. Honestly, this takes few months for a person like me to design this professional approach. For you, it might be in 5 pages or few sentences. So, try to take advantage of it. Okay. Now, before I go further, we will discuss first paper 1 in brief because paper 1 is not my area. I will give you the approach only and then we will focus on paper 2 because paper 2 is completely with me, polity, governance, constitution, social justice, PR, and that we will discuss slightly in detail. History, I will give you the approach, history, geography and paper 1's approach, and on 25th, Agarwal will take history overall. Okay. Tomorrow we will discuss paper 3 because some of the sections I will take in paper 3 like economy and internal security and disaster management maybe otherwise internal security and economic. And in paper 4 some of the sections I will take like ethics and public administration. That portion I will take, philosophical aspect somebody else. This Bhavna will take. So, paper 3 and 4 we will discuss tomorrow and tomorrow itself I will tell you how to solve the questions in prelims and how to write best possible answer. The last 1 hour we will discuss that so that you are completely confident before appearing in prelims. Okay. Prelims also I will discuss tomorrow, some specific. Tricks does not mean that I will tell you the shortcuts. No, do not get misguided that way. Tricks to solve questions in prelims it does not mean that there is some magic or magical thing that I will tell you and you remove this rod and then questions are. No, it is not that. There is no shortcut. There is no shortcut in UPSC. And there should not be any shortcut because you are going to handle people's life. You should not be a liability for the state. Should be asset. Yesterday also I was telling this that the syllabus tells you Indian heritage and culture, history and geography of the world and society. Okay. Now, what are the things included in heritage? And what are the things included in culture? Culture gives the foundation to the society, right? Society is what? It's a group of individuals living together, having certain things which they have shared in common. That may be some traits, ideas, behaviors or behavioral patterns. So, it is a group of people, organized group of people living in a particular territory. That's a society in general, in general. And that social behaviors or interaction among the individuals, that interaction will be guided by the background which they have. One example. Have you heard the name of a thinker called Max Weber? Have you heard? Max Weber is an administrative thinker, sociologist, sociologist and administrative thinker. Max Weber says that every action in society has a meaning. Theory of social action. That is the theory given by Weber. So he says that every action has a meaning. Okay? If I place this mobile from here to here, it may be random. But every time if I do that, there has to be a meaning behind it. Alright? So even a small action in the society has a meaning behind it. This is Weber's concept. Another sociologist, Parsons, Alcott Parsons, he says that the meaning which is behind every action comes from the social and cultural settings of the person. Got my point? Barring few exceptions. Is it okay? Did you get my point? Every action has a meaning, and the meaning comes from the socio-cultural settings of a person. If a child is born and you place that child among animals, then despite the fact that he is a human being, his brain is developed better than the animals, but his behavior will be like animals, because he will learn that. Okay? Barring few exceptions, that socio-cultural settings may not always guide his behavior, but in general it is. So, culture gives you the meaning to the social behavior, and social behavior is to be understood by all bureaucrats before you implement the policy. Do you agree with this? Without knowing the behavior of people, you cannot rule them, you cannot administer them. And for understanding social behavior, since the behaviors are guided by cultural traits, you need to understand those cultural traits. And those cultural traits are lifestyle, food habits, okay, attires, clothings, and related things, which will change over the period. Earlier, people used to wear some other dress. Dhoti, kurta was the traditional, even today it is a traditional dress. Even if someone wears it, then you will consider that he is a traditional person, right? The dresses which we wear is not our Indian dress. The fact. So, but now wearing dhoti and kurta is rare. This is our common dress now. So, the dressing sense, the food habits have changed over the period. But there are certain things in the culture which are inherited, and that inherited things are called, those inherited things may be ideas, tangible or intangible, both. So, heritage may be tangible, may be intangible. If it is tangible, then what is the, yesterday I was telling one thing, if you remember, I told you very clearly that if the day you understand the syllabus, your 60% job is done. Remember that? I spoke like this. I'll tell you how. Let me prove. If it is tangible, ancient period, what was the thing? How did we inherit in 2022? There is a trend. Maybe 10,000 years, maybe 100 years, maybe 500. So, how was urbanization in ancient India? And how is urbanization in 2020? There was no smart city. Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were not smart cities, but at least people knew how to make roads at right angles. Cutting across the roads at right angles will make the city airy, and they knew how to make a perfect drainage system, which we lack in fact. We don't have proper drainage system in today's modern so-called smart cities. In fact, most of the cities, they lack proper drainage. And our cities are not airy because our roads are not at right angles. So at that time, there was a technology. Today also there is a technology. That technology might have taken the form of artificial intelligence. But technological soundness was there in urbanization, and technological soundness is there in urbanization. That is a common feature. That's why they will ask trends from this heritage. It means wherever you are, whenever you are studying history and culture and heritage, you have to focus on trends. One question you will get in paper 1, it is guaranteed every year. Every year at least one question on trend will be there. If you study urbanization, you study anything, dance form, architecture, language, literature, whatever you want to study, one question will be there on the trend, it is guaranteed. Because they want to test your understanding of this term. Okay? I can't tell you because history is not my subject, so I will not tell you which dance form to be asked. That is, history teacher is supposed to tell. But what I am trying to tell you, you must be getting what I am trying to highlight. I am not discussing anything of this. Anything of this. So that is not in my domain. I am talking only about this title, which is written by a think tank, not by one single person. And it has been given deep thinking before writing, because you are picking up the backbone of the country. Backbone of the body is the most important thing, but that backbone is made up of vertebrae. So the bureaucrats, civil servants are those vertebrae which will form the spine of the country. And since you are picking up those points or those bones, so they have to be very particular in writing any single word. Right? Second thing, history and geography of the world. They have not written India. Without knowing world history, cannot dare to know Indian history. It's a fact. Unfortunately, we don't consider this. Why we don't consider? Examiner also knows it, that it will be too vast to understand the history of ancient world, medieval world and modern world, and ancient India, medieval India and modern India. So they have made an extent. That extent is middle of the 18th century. Here also, history of the world, which will include events from 18th century such as Industrial Revolution, World Wars. This is also from middle of the 18th century. This is also from middle of the 18th century. Why not from 17th century? Is it random? No. Mid of the 18th century in the world and mid of the 18th century in India have so many things common in the form of impacts. Right? Bismarck, you must have heard. Great name. German Chancellor. Unification of Germany. Indian Bismarck, Sardar Patel. If you know Sardar Patel, you have to refer Bismarck. If you have to refer Bismarck, you have to understand unification of Germany. To unification of Germany and unification of India post-independence, what are common threads? I must understand. Then only I will understand the challenges present. And if I know the challenges present, then challenges are this way, this is challenge, this side it is opportunity. Challenge gives you an opportunity. So if you understand challenges, you will only then you will understand the opportunities to deal with this. That's why the middle of the 18th century is given for both history of the world and of India. That is the logics. So anything which will be asked that will have a link with Indian history. Very rarely they will ask. There was a question, if I remember, what was Lenin's new economic policy? Remember that? There was a question asked. And they added a tale that how did it impact in India's present economic policy. Lenin also included capitalist features, right? Because post-revolution, post-1917, Lenin utilized capitalist features in socialist policy. We also utilized capitalist policies in socialism. But how is it different? Lenin utilized capitalism. India utilized liberalism. We are not capitalist. We are liberal. But Lenin wanted capitalist tendencies. That's why some of the capitalists grew very, very high and they became exploiters, right? So Lenin's economic policy and its impact on India, industrial revolution, its impact on India. So this is the reason why these two are logically intertwined. Is it okay? Now let me not go into the further details of history. Okay. Coming to this society, here it is written history and geography of the world. Geography will discuss society. Society requires, or society is or includes social behavior. Society is the relationship of human beings, right? Two individuals have an interaction. So how these interactions take place? That has to be understood. What kind of society we live in? What type of society? How is it different from Western society? So what is a society and what are its prominent features? That has to be the first thing to understand. That's why they have written salient features of Indian society, diversity. One feature they have given you the answer. One answer is already there. The most significant salient feature of society is what? It's diversity. So they have given you the hint. Then don't stick this here. Come this way. Find out the diversities. Find out the logics behind those diversities, the challenges of those diversities and the uniqueness of that diversity. What are those unique features that has made India intact despite this much of diversity? Okay. Then role of women and women's organization. Why suddenly women? Why not? Role of social institutions. We are talking about Indian society. The best thing could have been role of social institutions. But they have specified it, role of women and women's organization. Why? Because Indian society's salient feature is that we have tremendous gender discrimination. And without the development of women, social development cannot take. Okay? Very simple and common example is that if any of your programs, suppose it is 100% successful. Government claims that this program is 100% successful. Women's population is roughly 50%. If they are out, then this 100% is reduced to 50%. You get my point? If women are out from any of the schemes, the program, even if you claim that it is 100% successful, its success is 50%. Okay? So, role of women and women's organization, population and associated issues. Yesterday also I was talking, poverty and developmental issues, urbanization, their problems and their remedies. What are developmental issues? Society. Environment is already there in paper 3. Right? How to understand this developmental issue? What are the factors which lead to social development? Education, health, sanitation, right? Removal of injustices, removal of discriminations, delivery of justice, all these things. All aspects will be included in society, and it is related to women and women organization. It means gender discrimination in education, gender discrimination in labor market, employment, gender discrimination in health and nutrition. And in India, we see that these are the serious challenges even today. Right? Malnutrition among girl child. That's why we launched Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Why? We want a behavioral change. No. Whenever you listen to this word, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, the type is an example of behavioral economics. We want to change the mindset of the population. Right? So, all these aspects related to women and others. Then, effects of globalization on Indian society. This cannot be neglected because globalization has the widest possible domain. Now, on society, on whom? Those who are vulnerable, like women, senior citizens, children, SCs and STs, drug addicts, HIV positives, right? So, all those groups which are vulnerable, how they are coping with the modernization or modern trends of growing civilization. Are they left behind? Are they insecure? If they are insecure, the nation will become more vulnerable, more insecure. And it will not be possible for the administrator, even if he is 100% honest in his working, it will not be possible for him to implement all policies unless and until the society is. So, to understand the vulnerabilities, the factors might be imported from globalized world, that you need to. Then social empowerment. Social empowerment is what? Adjustment with the society. Should not be maladjustment. What I have given to the society and what I received from the society should be balanced. Right? Should be win-win situation. Otherwise, there will be a maladjustment of mind with the society. And in that case, I may suffer from a situation called alienation. And if I am alienated, I may be a rowdy person, I may be an extremist, or I may commit suicide. There are only two options if I am maladjusted. So, social empowerment of all communities is very, very important. Which are the hurdles? These are the hurdles of social empowerment. Communalism, we are seeing around us. We claim that we are in 21st century. We are in 21st century. We claim that we are modern. We are the third largest economy at PPP. Still struggling with religion. There is an age-old saying, cataract remains the third source of blindness. Religion and politics still remain the first two. Age-old saying. Cataract is the third cause of blindness. Religion and politics still remain the first two. The first cause of blindness is what? Is religion. That I am obsessed with my religion, irrespective of religion. Not talking whoever he is. So, we are still struggling with communal feelings, communal tendencies, regionalism. I am from Bihar, you are from Uttar Pradesh, I am from Tamil Nadu, I am from Kerala. We are still struggling with this regionalism. If these two, obviously it will be a challenge for our secular fabric. Salient, so communalism, regionalism and secularism are, there was a very good question asked, I think twice they have asked. One was the question that how Indian secularism is different from the Western secularism. Remember that question? And there was one question that what did France learn from Indian practice of secularism? Was another question. So, Western secularism is hard, complete separation of religion and politics. We believe in religious tolerance, and even after complete separation, they could not sustain properly. So, Indian secularism is now giving lessons to the world that be religiously tolerant, then you will become actually secular. That is what Indian secularism is giving lessons to the world. Unfortunately, we are posing challenges to our secularism because of regionalistic and communal tendencies. This is what I am talking. Try to understand that what they have this isms. The general saying, if you know isms, you know everything. If you know thinking, thoughts, then you understand everything. If you understand all these, then you will understand social empowerment and what are the challenges. Right? Then, very interesting topic. Important geophysics, apart from this, salient features of world physical geography and natural resources across the world. See this topic. Important geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, cyclone, geographical and their location changes in critical geographical features including water bodies and ice caps, and in flora and fauna and the effects of such change. What is the difference between two words? Geographical and geophysical. How these two words are different? Okay, it includes endogenic also. Talks about endogenic forces also. Geography will make you understand the exogenic aspect on the surface. Okay. So, on the surface whatever you understand, that is fine. But there are so many things which are of endogenic origin which will cause tremendous problems for us. And all these terms which are written, they are basically causes of disasters. Right? And India is prone to all of them. There is nothing left. India is prone to tsunami also, prone to earthquakes also, prone to cyclones also, for everything. Apart from that, we have other hazards also. So, how to understand the causes of disaster, that is given in geography, and how to manage those disasters, that is given in paper. Okay? If any question on disaster management comes that discuss the challenges before prediction of or forecast of earthquake. Suppose this is the question. Discuss the challenges of forecast of earthquakes in India and suggest few steps to manage earthquake. If I start my answer that earthquakes are caused because of plate tectonic movement, the examiner is like me, give you 0. Means cannot segregate what is geography, what is geophysics, what is disaster, what is hazard. Everything is all clear, don't know anything. I will say that I have first statement is that I have written how earthquake is caused. He is not asking that. Right? That statement is very suitable, paper 1. Because here geophysical activity is active phenomena. So, how that phenomena, those phenomena are caused? Causes are important here, and post disaster or pre disaster management of these geophysical phenomena are required. That is the basic difference. So, tomorrow also I will tell you how to write answers in geography also. I will tell you that. This is just to give you an approach, right? Now, let me come to my area which I have to take in your classes. Governance, constitution, polity, social justice and international relations. Yesterday I talked that governance is the core, and yesterday also I told you one thing, that out of 60-65 questions, 40-45 have been asked from governance. So, governance is the actual core, and you draw a strength from law, constitutional law, and something from political science, right? So, you have to focus on governance. How to justify this? The approach which I gave you. Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings. What is the meaning of this? Underpinnings. They could have written Indian constitutional history. It is already there in modern India. Modern Indian history from mid of the 18th century, then constitutional history is already there, 1773 onwards. Why to repeat? Underpinnings means? No. Underpinnings are the pillars on which the building stands. This building stands on certain pillars, one here, one there, one. Not this wall. So, you have to identify those pillars on which the Indian Constitution stands. This is a word from a subject called civil engineering. Underpinning. And after that it is written evolution. It means Constitution of India is an evolved constitution that you also must have read in feature. Constitutions may be evolved, may be framed, may be enacted, may be granted. One classification. Evolved means over the period. Then framed means written, enacted means passed by legislative chamber, and granted means that somebody has made and handed it over to somebody else. Right? Our constitution is evolved also, framed also, enacted also, and granted also. Who granted? We the people have granted to ourselves. So, it has all the features. Now, evolution, when we say it is evolved, do we have a particular date for evolution? Evolution began with the emergence of Earth. Earth is also evolving from day one. So, everything on the Earth is evolving. It's a continuous, slow and continuous progress. With adding something or deleting something. Some organs will be added in an animal, some organs will be deleted. So, evolution of constitution is different from, I will tell you in the class, one just reference I am quoting, I will tell you in the class in details. One reference is one case, Arumugam versus Rajgopal, 1970. In which the court said that equality is not new to India's constitution. It was present in the ancient social condition. And the court referred that Mandala 5 of the Rig Veda and Slok 21 of the Atharva Veda talk about equality. Means Rig Veda is in the ancient period. So, equality, obviously the thing was, Atharva Veda writes that all of us are equal, all of us are brothers in the matters of food and water. Is the English meaning of this law. It means equality was there fraternity was there, but it was limited to food and water. Our present constitution says equality of status and of opportunity. That is the evolution. That from food and water, it is evolved to become status and of opportunity. This is what evolution is. Okay. And then features, amendments, significant provisions and basic. Now see the second term, perfectly from governance. Functions and responsibilities of the union and states, issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure, devolution of powers and finances up to the local levels and challenges therein. I have written an article today, Hindi, obviously in Hindi, for Dainik Jagran on this same issue, federal finance. If you remember, RBI's report last week has said that 5 states are overburdened by debts and their 1/4 of their finances are wasted in fulfilling electoral promises. This is the report. So, states' finances are weak. Will not it impact India's economy overall? Will. Large fiscal deficit of states obviously hamper the fiscal deficit status of Government of India and all your economic policy. So, federal finance is a major issue and that is a part of governance. So, second topic in your syllabus comes from governance. Then separation of powers between various organs, dispute redressal mechanism, comparison of dispute redressal mechanism. Parliament and state legislature structure, functioning, conduct of business, powers, privileges, issues arising out of these. What are these issues arising? If I know Parliament is made of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and if I mugged up everything, Article 79 to 120, will you understand these? Issues arising out of parliamentary things. Issues are what? What happens if productivity of parliament is sustainably declined? Suppose this is the question, language of the question. That over the period, productivity of Indian parliament has been sustainably declining. Discuss the problems emerging from such a condition and suggest few steps. Then understanding or remembering Article 79 to 122 is useless. So, what we have to understand? Issues arising out of that. Having a reference of parliamentary system. Our major focus area of question is here. See, this is any substance. I will give you more simpler example. Any of the substances, material, mark, pen, mobile. One part of this is a structure, how it is made, what is the material. Another part is function. You are interested in which of this? Structure or function? Function. Always. If suppose the structure of a mobile is very good and it is not user friendly, will you buy it? No. Even if it is slightly less beautiful and you have to make a compromise, but it is suppose 500 times more user friendly than others, then you will go for that. Means functions are more important, but functions cannot be determined without creating the. So, structure is there in your syllabus, but the questions will be from function. Always. Always. Anatomy of human body is very important, but physiology of human body more important. Stomach remains the same in everybody, but if a stomach is upset, then you are in trouble, right? So, anatomical structural aspects are important, but everybody focuses on the functional side. So, your questions will be from the functional component in every paper, whether it is your GS or your optional. The functional component is more important. The structure, organization and functioning of the executive and judiciary, ministries and departments of the government. It is a pure governance area. You should understand how many ministries, How many departments? Economic survey, which organization publishes that? How many divisions are there? The Ministry of Home Affairs. First, it has divisions. Division of internal security and division of something else. Ministry of Finance does not have division. Ministry of Finance has departments. Department of Revenue, Department of Expenditure, Department of Disinvestment. So, which ministry shall have division? Which ministry shall have departments? Why they should have divisions and departments? This is the topic. Ministries and departments of government, pressure groups and formal informal associations and their role in the polity. No finance minister will make a budget without having a meeting with CII and FICCI. Have heard these two names? Why? Because without CII and FICCI, governments will not understand the requirements of industries. So, CII and FICCI may serve as pressure groups. They do serve as pressure groups. Very difficult for government to ignore the suggestions made by CII and others. Then, appointment to various constitutional posts, statutory, regulatory and various quasi-judicial bodies. If you remember, if I am not wrong, Lord Cornwallis. At the time of Cornwallis, when he came out with Cornwallis Code 1793, that Cornwallis Code had segregated judicial and executive functions. District collector was segregated from district judge, right? And it continued. Post-independent, we interlinked executive and judicial powers once again. So, we gave certain judicial powers to executive authorities and that became quasi-judicial, like CBP, Securities Exchange Board of India, right? And some more. So, we must understand why we have joined or fused the powers of executive and judicial powers to create a body like that. You should understand as a civil servant the role of these organizations. RBI, why should RBI go for reporting states' finances? RBI is a central bank. It has to control monetary supply, money supply, inflation. Why it should point out fingers at state governments? Because it is a regulatory authority and it is also a statutory. It is set up under RBI Act. It has the power to work for the betterment of the country overall as such. That is the reason it has come out with the report like this and pointed out fingers and suggested the state government that do this. Otherwise, because of your problems, overall monetary system of India will be in danger. Got it? Then, welfare schemes for vulnerable sections, population, that is social justice, which yesterday also I said that the objective of governance is to deliver justice. No. And every social institution must deliver justice. If I quote John Rawls, John Rawls' name have you heard? John Rawls. Very famous quotation, very famous statement, theory of justice, that justice is the first virtue of social institutions as integrity is of systems of thought. So, every social institution must yield justice. Which social institution? That may be family, that may be marriage. So, crime within marriages are in the news recent times. Must have heard section 498A IPC, cruelty against wife, right? Then Protection of Domestic Violence Act, protection of women from domestic violence, right? Juvenile justice. All these things are related to this social justice, and social justice is required more for vulnerable sections. Why people or groups become vulnerable, how to handle their vulnerabilities, how to remove their vulnerability, how to empower them socially. This is the objective of the governance system overall, right? Then, a very important topic, role of civil services in a democracy, very generalized topic. Civil service is a link between people and the state. And if people and state are close, you are living in a perfect democracy. No, because people will be contributing to decision making, people's participation, decision making. So, role of civil service is most significant in making Indian or any democracy successful. And very simply they can ask a question that success of India's democracy largely depends upon civil services. Critically examine or critically. Then, coming to international relations, India and its neighborhood relations, bilateral, regional and global groupings and agreements involving India and or affecting India's interests, effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest, Indian diaspora, important international institutions, agencies and fora, their structure and management. India is 7th largest spender on defense in the world, spending more than $46 billion. Country whose per capita income is not even $2,000. How can it dare to spend $46 billion on defense? And the reason is that China has increased its defense expenditure by more than 500% in the last 30 years. China is your next door neighbor, right? And you have, if not rivalry, then you are not friends at least. Right? If you claim that we are not enemies, still we are not friends and we have serious challenges from China. You are forced to spend money on defense because of China. That is what there. Effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interests. So earlier the syllabus used to tell India and the world. Before 2013, the syllabus was titled India and the world, and the questions were very simple. Simple in the sense, only those questions were asked where India was involved. Right? Now the syllabus says international relations. So international means between two nations, at least. Those two nations may not include India. So now it is just like an ocean. Syllabus is widened. That's why you have to understand groups also like BRICS. BRICS must have heard. G20, G7, basic. Brazil. What is basic? Brazil, South Africa, India, China for climate change. Right? So all these groupings plus organizations. Is WTO helping India's trade relations to grow? Is UN helping India's safety and security? We celebrated International Yoga Day on 21st June, right? Yoga was not practiced earlier, it was practiced, but it is basically from India and it is a contribution of India to the world community. How did it impact? If UN celebrates International Yoga Day, how does it impact India's relations with the West or with other countries? At least I should understand. If Hindi is made an official language of UN, for which India is trying hard, the day it becomes official language, what will be its impact on India's foreign policy or India's relations with? That also we must understand. So all these things, if you look at seriously and sincerely, you will find that hardly they require factual knowledge. They require your learning and understanding. Okay? And for that purpose, what we have to do, that I will tell you. since I am in my domain, so I will tell you what I should do or what you should do when you are in the class or when you are on your whatever manner. You are in class, I will share the responsibility. You are alone, you have to share your own responsibility, but you have to go by that. And that is what, first of all, what you have to do is, you have to segregate this, break up the syllabus. Why? If I want to see what is there inside, what I have to do? Either open it, break it, then you will come to know that what is inside. So when you break up the syllabus, the first thing is that you know the demands. That is your first stage. The second stage is, once you made the breakups, then pick up the most simple thing first, which you call fundamental or basic. And slowly and gradually we will move to advanced. So we say that even if I am in class, I will take you from basic to advanced level, slowly and gradually. So that a very unfortunate thing in our education system is, so far, the things which you studied in 8th did not study in 9th. Things which you studied in 9th did not study in 10th. And after 10th, your base is 0, despite the fact that you scored 99%. Right? If I quote my marks, then I will be treated untouchable by today's student. 99%. 3-4 candidates used to combine their marks, then they used to get 90% earlier. Now, if you say that I have got 80%, then you are a bad student rather. No. College admissions, third list 97%. First list must have been more than 100% then. So despite this higher percentage of marks, your ground level is 0. You are here without a ground floor. And the commission wants this. Commission doesn't want this. Here you will serve as academician, researcher. And a district magistrate has to work with villagers. 40% of the villagers will be illiterate. How will you tell him Ayushman Bharat? They will not be able to pronounce it. If the district magistrate tells that this is Ayushman Bharat Yojana, how many of the villagers will be able to pronounce it properly? So they want you to come at ground level. You have already gone here. Your level is, so-called level is very high than UPSC. It is a tragedy. So your basics are very, very much important. So start with basics, go slowly above, touch the advanced level. That is the second thing. Third, if you are with me, suppose, then I would prefer one thing, that the topic which I am discussing, suppose I am discussing history of Indian Constitution, then I will ensure that you get booklet like this, because that will be helpful for me also and that will be helpful for you also. Another very important thing for your preparation, during your preparation, is to create doubts. Ask questions from yourself and try to answer it, which we say doubt clearance. If you have a teacher around you, if you have a senior around you, very well and good that you can clear the doubts. If you do not have, create doubts, try to clear it. If not possible, try to ask them. But clear your doubts and create doubts. Raise objections, as many as possible. Asking good question is an art. Everybody cannot ask good questions. Asking good question is an art and you require in-depth study, then only you will get the question. If you are not getting a question from any of the topic, from today onwards you assess yourself. Whenever you study, if you do not get a question, the result is that your study was 0. You will not retain it for more than 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You have to forget it. It is guaranteed. If you do not get a question, because getting the things and keeping everything in mind is against the rules of the nature. Okay? And don't give additional inputs unwanted. I was referring to one of my students which I referred, Mahendra, today, that he was telling me a very good experience. I'll tell you also, I'll share with you. He came 7 days before his prelims. He was very frustrated with one of his friends. I asked him everything, how he has prepared. He said that I have read everything, but I am absolutely frustrated and I am dead sure that I will not succeed. Then I told him that do one thing, go home, sleep as much as possible in the next 7 days. Read as less as possible and think as much as possible. Then today he qualified prelims, and his 7 other friends who were forcing him to read, they were studying 15-16 hours. All the 7 are out. He was very happy today that what you said that don't study, I am successful. On all of them who have studied 15-16 hours, they are out. And now they are hunting you. So anyway, so taking the things, if you consider this kind of feature, that doubt clearance is, understanding the doubts is a very, very important thing, and that is possible only when your brain is calm and cool. I told him very clearly that human brain, if any of you have read biology, suppose, the nervous system you must have heard, that brain has grey matter, and memory cells we have, our grey matter, which semantic memory, which we say, permanent memory. And the brain processes your inputs when you are at rest, you are sleeping. We say subconscious part of the brain. At present, we are all conscious. Our brain does not process at present. It gets the inputs. When you are sleeping and if you have a sound sleep, the brain will process them. All the inputs will be, some of the things will be removed out from your memory cells, something will be sent in. That process is completed. That's why you require 6 hours sleep proper, sleep cycle, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, then 4, 3, 2, 1. I said that suppose grey matter in one human being, suppose it is 100 million cells, memory cells are there, suppose. And one memory cell has the capacity to contain 10 inputs maximum. So what is your total capacity? 100 million into 10, right? So 1000 million inputs your brain can hold. Now you cannot change this. So that is the structural part. What changes can we make? Here, suppose you have given him 1500 million inputs. Then 500 has to go out in any case, and your brain will be overstuffed, tight packed. It will get confused which input is more important, which is, and you will realize this when you are sitting in the exam, that Rajya Sabha gets 12 members nominated. Which of the areas is not included in the following? Suppose the question is very simple question: art, science, literature, and what else? Social service. Suppose they have given cooperative. You know that I have read everything, but your brain is under so much of confusion and pressure that you will put a wrong tick. That's what we call blunders, not mistakes. That's what we call blunders. So when you are overstuffing your brain, when you are creating or giving a space to yourself to commit blunder. So study less, think more, because it requires your understanding, nothing else. Very simple exam, not easy once again, methodical, be professional, be honest to yourself, be productive. Becoming honest to yourself is difficult task. Remain simple. Study a smaller thing, simpler thing. There is an age-old proverb that remaining simple is the most difficult task. No? So, be simple and remain simple. You will succeed. Right? I think today is enough. Enough is enough for today. Tomorrow we will discuss paper 3 and paper 4, and I will tell you how to write a case study. I will also tell you something about prelims. I will tell you how to handle prelims questions, what should be the correct method to study topics in prelims, and how to write answers, good answers, pragmatic answers for maximum. Right? That will be our agenda for. Okay? And once I pick up the topic polity governance, okay? See you tomorrow then. Thank you.